after relocating the ECU, I was still having bogging issues. So I did some more research, and people were saying it's probably your fuel line. So I took the fuel line apart, the fuel pump apart again. I checked all the fuel lines. I blew everything out with air, and I got to this point here. Now, mind you, what you're going to see was not the solution to the problem, but at that point in time, everything kind of led to what I thought was the fuel not flowing fast enough into the fuel pump. So that's where we're at this point. I think what the problem is when you pull your fuel pump housing out, this little area behind these two wires is the only place that fuel gets in, unless your tank is like up past this level, and then the fuel will seep into there. And so when you go to give it throttle, it's starving for fuel. That's why the RPMs were jumping back and forth. You know, it would and then go down and then go down because it's starving for fuel. And the reason is that is the only place that fuel gets in. So what did I do? I cut a groove. I just took like a hacksaw and I cut a V notch, and then I what do you call it? I took a file and then I filed it round, so that way fuel can get into where the fuel filter is. There's your fuel filter right there, that little orange thing. That fuel filter was clean, but the problem was it was still starving for fuel because my fuel level was below this line, because I only put like a gallon in it just to test because it had been bogging. So once I put that little groove in there, it fixed it. So let me put it back together and I'll show you how it's running now. And by the way, before I figured that out, I replaced this fuel rail right here because it was kinked right there. I replaced all the coils. I replaced all the spark plugs. I disconnected the butterfly valve servo. I thought I was going to have to replace it. I even pulled the ECU, and I thought the ECU was bad. So luckily I didn't get to the point where I had to replace the ECU. But yeah, everything was clean, everything was clear. I took my my air compressor and I blew in through here. When this was disassembled, I blew into all the orifices to make sure they were clear, and they were. I even replaced the pump. So it's got a new pump, it's got new plugs, new coils, new fuel rail, and everything's been cleaned out. So the final, and it was still bogging. So the final piece was this groove here. And it's not sealed or anything, it's just sitting on there. But the problem is it just doesn't have enough space to let fuel to where the fuel filter sits. So there you go. Let me show you how it works now. Okay, here we go. Up there. There you go. I didn't want to take it up too high because I want to change the oil before I take it up to any more than 14,000 RPM. But yep, next trip I'm gonna get it on the highway and see what she does. But that's how you solve the starving for gas issue. One day later. Well, still having bogging issues, and I think it's come down to because the gas tank was just full of rust. Here is what the remnants of what came out of the tank after I washed it and then soaked vinegar in it for a couple of hours. And yeah, it's pretty bad. Here's the vinegar. Here's what the the vinegar was, white, and all the particles in there. So I'm gonna save this for later. I'll filter it, or I might just see all the muck down at the bottom. It's kind of hard to see. Yeah, pretty bad. So I've got the tank drying out now. It looks a lot better. Pull the fan away. Yeah, you can kind of see that it looks more better. It was completely rusted. Well, I wouldn't say completely rusted, but chunks of rust were coming out. So, oops. Sorry. But once I get it dried, I'll fill her back up. And I blew out the pump and the fuel rail hose and everything. So everything should be nice and clear. So we'll see. As you probably guessed, that did not fix the bogging issue either. But the end is near, so hopefully on the next journey video, it will all come to an end. Stick around. Thanks.